Welcome to High Mind, a podcast where I get high and explore life. Mostly it's my deep thoughts. Sometimes it isn't, though. But mostly it is. Except when it's not. Anyways, enjoy. Alright, so I'm on a hike in Montana, and I was just thinking about obstacles or things in life that we think of as obstacles or things we encounter in life, and we say like, oh, that thing is keeping me from being something I want to be or doing something I want to do or need to do. So it's something that's in the way of me and maybe my happiness, or me and an accomplishment, or me and whatever. And I think sometimes maybe we don't think about obstacles in the most helpful way or the best way. Some obstacles, maybe we look at the thing itself that's keeping us from whatever it is we're wanting or needing and saying, that thing is what's keeping me from it, not something about me. It's that thing, it's the obstacle, it's the object, it's that person, it's the situation, or it's the circumstance that is preventing me from moving forward. And I'm not saying that's not true sometimes, because I think that is true sometimes, but I think a lot of times I've seen in my own life that when I think it's not something about me preventing me from achieving or getting that thing, then I think there's nothing I can do about it then, if I can't change the situation. So then my focus is on the obstacle instead of on myself, and changing the obstacle or removing the obstacle or changing the circumstance, or or just wishing that person would act differently or be different or think different, and not be thinking and being the way that's keeping me from what I need to do or what I need to be. And then honestly, I think I end up staying in those places longer than I would have if I'd been able to maybe take more of a deep look at myself and see, what is it about myself that I could improve or grow in, or what thing could I get better at that would allow me to continue doing the thing that I need to do or feel that I should do or be or whatever. And just be it. So instead of changing myself to overcome the circumstance or move on in spite of the obstacle, I sit in a place and wait, or wish it would be different, or I don't know, try to change something that maybe can't be changed, especially if it is another person. A lot of times, not that people can't change, because people can change. I definitely am a believer in people can change. I'm not one of the people, or I don't think that, no one ever changes. Everyone just kind of is the way they are, and that's the way they stay. I don't think that's true. I think there's all kinds of different reasons, and that's a lot of buttload more conversations to have about that topic. Next podcast, maybe. But yeah, I definitely think people can change, but sometimes that's not, or a lot of times actually, most of the time, that's not within my control to enact change in someone else's life, at least not like real change. Like, that's something that each individual person has to, one, maybe recognize that there's something they need to change in, and then two, they have to want to actually change in it or care enough to do it. And if they don't, then really nothing I say or do is going to make them do that. That's a decision they have to come to themselves. You can present people with stuff sometimes, but still, in the end, it's up to what they want to do or be, or how much they're willing to give or sacrifice to get whatever it is, or to stop whatever it is, or whatever. So focusing on things that are outside the realm of my control doesn't help, and it doesn't change the situation. So what can I change? And the one thing I feel like I can is me. And I can think deeply about my own thoughts and feelings, or like I can think deeply about what is this obstacle showing me about myself, or about life, or about whatever it is. Like, what's the lesson I can learn from this obstacle? What's it telling me that maybe I need to change, and maybe I need to grow myself, or a weakness that I have, or whatever. And so if I can do that, then I feel like, one, I become stronger and grow and get better, hopefully, as a person, or like grow in kindness or compassion, or whatever it is this obstacle kind of presents me with that I notice or learn, and that's good, right? And also, then, what I've kind of been learning is that if I stop trying to just remove obstacles, or avoid obstacles especially, if I try to avoid things maybe that are difficult, or that, I don't know, I just see as like, oh, that can't happen because this thing, or because that thing, or because that obstacle, or because that person, or because of this circumstance is the reason why I can't make that thing happen, or I can't do that, or I can't be that. That's why. Then I just cut off the possibility of me ever even being that, or doing that, or learning that, or growing in that area or way forever. If I chalk it up to it's because of the circumstances, nothing about me, when in actuality it probably was something. But most of the time, I've found in my life, most of the time for me, it's something about me that either I'm not aware of, or I am aware of and I'm not willing to face about myself. You know, it's something that I don't like about myself, or it's a weakness I have, or a fear. It's just something I'm afraid of. Like, I'm afraid of trying that thing and looking like a fool, or I'm afraid of trying that thing and failing in front of people and everyone thinking I suck, or like I'm afraid of what people think about me if I pursue that thing, because I don't have a guaranteed outcome, which is basically the way everything is in life. You never have a guaranteed outcome of really hardly anything. So I let my fear and those things keep me from pursuing those at all, instead of admitting that to myself, and admitting my fear and facing it, and then having to make an honest choice and an honest answer myself honestly, and say what I'm doing really is avoiding my fear, not, oh no, this is a legitimate circumstance that I can't do that thing, you know, instead of admitting that I just don't want to do what it takes to be that, or I'm not willing to, or I'm too scared to. And it's an easy out for me to blame the circumstance for the reason why I can't do that thing. And it makes me feel better a little bit, even though I know I'm not being honest with myself, so I don't feel great. But in a way, it kind of like, soothes that guilt or whatever that I feel about lying to myself and saying, no, you're not afraid. Like, logistically, that just couldn't work out for you right now. Or like, no, it's not because you're too afraid to do that. It's because you don't have the money to do that right now. Or it's because this or that. And sometimes those answers are like a little bit true, or it's like, yeah, okay, you need to wait a little longer. You do need to save some money before you can invest in this idea or try this thing. And so there is some of that. But I think I always know when I'm being 100% honest with myself. I just, think I can kind of feel that, like, no, like, you're just saying that to make yourself feel better. You're not really being honest with yourself. But yeah, and so I've started trying to kind of like accept some of those obstacles as like, okay, this is an opportunity. It's not, it's an opportunity to grow. And like, I know there's a lot of people that talk about this, like, this is not my idea. I've heard a bunch of different people will say that, like seeing different things in life is like, don't see it as a bad thing, see it as an opportunity to grow stronger, to get better, you know, whatever. And you know, I'm saying in like a cheesy voice, but it's not cheesy. Like that's for real. You know, I think that's why a lot of people usually say it. Like sometimes things become cliche to say because people say them a lot, but sometimes people say things a lot because there's some truth in there. And sometimes people say things a lot that's absolute bullshit too. But we gotta figure that out for ourselves, don't we? And so it's funny, actually, what sparked this whole train of thought at the beginning of my hike was I'm out here barefoot again, as I usually am, and the trail started out dirt, which is pretty smooth and not too bad, and then got a little rockier, like smaller-ish rocks and stuff, so it was like still okay. But then the rocks started getting a little bigger, some of them like a little sharper and pointier and stuff, and instead of pulling my sandals out so that I could keep going fast, or faster up the hill, I decided not to put my sandals on and just slow down and see what the trail kind of starts communicating to me through my feet. Maybe about my feet, maybe about, I don't know, something else in my body, my posture, whatever, or like how hard I step, or how soft and smooth I'm moving, my balance. So instead of putting my shoes on and avoiding that obstacle that forces me to slow down, maybe more than I want to, or I'm patient enough to do, and then I get the chance to learn, like, I don't know, stuff about my feet, which probably sounds really dumb to a lot of people, but I don't know, physical activities and especially like movement kinds of activities tend to engage my mind a lot, and I feel like I learn a lot of different lessons from that. So that's why I do that. Anyways, really movement, like the idea of movement has really like kind of been on my mind a lot, especially recently, but kind of like for a little while now. But like movement in every way, you know, movement physically, movement mentally, movement environmentally, movement where I live, movement with what I read, movement with who I talk to, movement with the kinds of conversations I have with different people. And I feel like a common thread that seems to tie through each kind of movement or each category of movement in my life seems to be that every time I move or change environments or change my surroundings or change the situation in which I'm required to operate in or think, it always reveals something to me about me or about life or about a person or about a physical principle, which usually translates over to a mental lesson. Like, every kind of movement offers me new information, or it forces me to react, or it reveals a weakness, or it reveals whatever it is, or something about, it helps me see different people differently too, or understand people I already know in a new way because I met this person in this town and they had a different life experience, but they shared some similarities, and then they explained some of their feelings about an interaction they had this one time in a way that makes something else about someone I already know make more sense to me, and then I can be more understanding and more compassionate and more loving. And so like I just really feel like movement of so many kinds is really important for like the health of everything, ourselves, like our spirit, our body, our mind, our everything, our life, you know, our happiness. I think movement is really important for that to happen. And I don't think you can see the sky, but it's like really pretty. Oh, there, I can shift the light. You don't see behind the trees. Maybe. Oh well. But yeah, so like, and that's something I've been experimenting with. Maybe not experimenting, maybe just practicing. I've just been practicing as many kind of movements right now that I can think of or manage without, you know, overwhelming myself too much, too fast. But that's, yeah, I'm trying to learn about life, about myself, about other people, and I feel like the more understanding I gain, or the more perspectives I can get a better idea about what things are, maybe what matters, I don't know, the important things in life. Like, I never want to stay just completely within one prescribed or one learned or one, commanded movement or one category of thinking or any of those things where, and I have some hard lines in my life, though. I won't go into all of them, but like, I have some things too where I'm like, you know what, no, this is the truth about this that I believe for me in my life, and I'm not interested in changing that. Okay, anyways, in summation, think about what obstacles are in your life, and maybe what that obstacle actually is, and maybe what it could be telling you about yourself or whatever it is. And then also, like, think about maybe movement or areas where maybe there hasn't been any movement in a long time. And is that good? Like, is that because it's an area where you have a hard line or a hard boundary where you're like, no, this is something that I'm as sure as I can be of, and I don't want to change it because it's a good thing, And then what areas are there where, there hasn't been any movement in this area in my life in a long time, and it doesn't seem like I'm doing too good in that area either. So maybe I need to move, maybe in some way. Need to try something new, need to even just think about it deeply instead of just being like, oh no, that area just sucks. Like, that thing is just bad, or that thing just doesn't work. Maybe it was the way we were doing it, maybe we were imbalanced, maybe it was the speed, maybe we were forcing things too much, maybe whatever. And I think that's also a common thread that I've come across too, is that what I've seen is most often it's not always the thing or the situation that's the problem, or inherently that thing always causes damage, or that thing's always unhealthy. It's most often for me been in my approach to it, what I needed from it, and I don't know, how I used it. Or did I go too fast, more than I was ready for, or whatever. And so I think it just helps to move, because then I can see things in a new light, think about things in a new way that can maybe help reveal things that I was misunderstanding or misusing, or some area that if I would just accept about myself and grow, then it would benefit me and everyone around me. So, yeah, that's what I was thinking about. But I need to stop this podcast now, because I think I'm going kind of long, and I need to go faster and focus on my feet, because I don't want to make Tara wait on me forever for dinner. So, see you guys later. If you listened this far, I am truly sorry, but you will never get that time back. See you later.